Well, that was a frustrating one. What's going on? I am Matt O'Leary here to recap the New York Jets versus the 49ers Week 1 matchup where the New York Jets fall by a score of 32-19. Not too many surprises offensively. I thought when they actually had the ball, Aaron Rodgers did some okay things. Really, the big surprise in this game was defensively. I did not think the New York Jets were good enough in this game. We got some news before kickoff that Christian McCaffrey was not going to be playing for the San Francisco 49ers. Clearly, that is a big deal, as Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs in football. We will later get into how did not end up being a major factor in this game. But without further ado, let's get into it. In case you don't know, here's how I do my recaps. I go through and give the key points from each drive, then some final thoughts on the game before getting into some stats. So the Jets started with the football and honestly pretty quick 3-and-out. Brees for 6 on the first carry, run again, then the Jets pass, and Allen Lazard with a drop on third down, which would have picked up a first down. Aaron Rodgers looked a little frustrated after that one, and who could blame him, because Allen Lazard has to come up with that ball. Luckily, Lazard would turn his game around after that, but frustrating start when you remember what Allen Lazard did in 2023. The Jets defense started the game pretty strong, though. Jamie Sherwood comes up with a nice stick on first down. Third down forces, an errant pass. There was really good pressure on the interior from Quinnen Williams, and the San Francisco 49ers end up punting it right back to the New York Jets. First play that the Jets run, a rare Brees Hall mistake. He would fumble, and the 49ers would recover. Unbelievable. You have to give credit to Fred Warner. He made an unbelievable play on the football, but still, Brees Hall fumbling gives good possession or good field position, rather, for the possession. And the 49ers had opportunity to score. Quincy Williams came up with a huge pass breakup on Deebo Samuel. The Jets did their 2023 bend but don't break after the turnover, and they hit a field goal to go up 3-0. Okay, third Jets possession. How are they going to end up doing here? Well, something that did bother me in this game was the Jets play calling. Shocker. The second and long runs were really frustrating to me, but the good news is the Jets have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback and Garrett Wilson at wide receiver, as you would get an acrobatic catch on third down to get the drive going, then another third down conversion to Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall screen for a big gain, another Garrett conversion. There was 3 times on this drive that Garrett Wilson came up with a catch on third down to extend the drive. Huge. He is going to be a major factor for this team going forward. Brees Hall punches one in to the end zone, and the Jets go up 7-3 in this game. They have a lead in the first quarter. This is where things begin to go off the rails, though. Mason was just ripping off, man. Big run after big run. Gets him to midfield. Sauce Gardner, PBU on Brandon Ayuk. Tony Adams gets beat by Ayuk, though. Michael Clemens gets banged up. He would come back. Didn't really end up having a great game as a run defense. The whole Jets defensive line didn't, but Michael Clemens I saw getting talked about a lot on socials. Wasn't a great day for him or the rest of this Jets defensive line. Sauce gets a tackle for a loss, gets a little banged up on the play. He would sit and then come back in. It was very bizarre, that whole situation. I'm sure we'll get more info on that from Robert Saleh later, but just really strange. Anyway, 49ers settle for a 51-yard field goal. Moody connects. 7-6 game. Not much going. Jets next possession. Deep shot to Garrett Wilson was a no-go. He got tangled up with Ward on the play. Rodgers gets sacked on third down. Jets end up punting it away. Brock Purdy, play fake, runs for 10 yards. Jordan Mason again starts really finding his groove on this next possession. They're just going right down the field. It looked like Mason punched one in for a touchdown, but it gets called back on a holding penalty. Kyle Juszczyk gets a penalty, and then Deebo Samuel gets a jet sweep touchdown. So they go up 13-7. CJ Mosley ended up in the medical tent on that possession. The Jets defense didn't look good without him. To be fair, they didn't necessarily look that great with him either. Moral of the story, again, as I pointed out, this is when really things began to change, as the 49ers would go 5 straight possessions with scoring points, which is just unacceptable. That is not an acceptable. I understand it's the first game of the year, but the defense did not look very good. You got one of those illegal formation calls on John Simpson on third down. Just it's a dumb penalty. I can't stand it. They've put a major emphasis on calling those in week 1, and the referees did that. Shout out Morstead, who might be able to punt for the next 100 years. He's unbelievable. I hope that he punts for the next 100 years if he's happy doing it, and I hope he does it for the New York Jets. George Kittle, who I talked about, who I thought would be a problem for the Jets, was wide open, gets a big play. Then on 3rd and short, they converted. And this was the drive that I mentioned, no Sauce Gardner on this one. They would end up putting him back in later on the drive where the 49ers would settle for a field goal right before the half. They go up 16-7 at halftime. So a tough situation for the New York Jets as, again, outside of their 3rd drive, didn't really have the ball a whole lot. 49ers start with the ball in the second half, and the Jets really needed to stop. Unfortunately, it was more of the same. Solomon Thomas couldn't get home on a pass rush. This is when the pass rush started to become an issue. I tweeted about the Jets pass rush being an issue, and people were mad at me for it because they were pointing out the run game, but I wasn't ignoring that the Jets couldn't stop the run. It was in addition to, it was like both those things were going wrong, but people were just mad on the internet in week 1. What else is new? People fighting in my mentions during a Jets game. We are all the way back, people. This was really the Mason one, the Mason drive. They kept just over and over again, and the Jets just did not have an answer. Finally, he gets it in the end zone, and the San Francisco 49ers go up 23-7 pretty early in the second half. Things go from bad to worse as Aaron Rodgers gets picked. Wasn't really his fault. The pass gets defended. It was a really nice play by Lenore and just pops up, ends up being intercepted, and it's like, great, here's another possession and likely more points. Mason, another 10-yard run. 3rd down, Jermaine Johnson gets called for a hands to the face penalty. It extended the drive. Tony Adams pass breakup on 3rd down, sets up a Moody field goal, which goes off the upright, but in 26-7. Positive moment from the second half of this game. Aaron Rodgers was just on another planet on this drive. He had a beautiful touch throw on the left sideline to Allen Lazard for 26, and then hit Allen Lazard up the seam on a free play. He got the 49ers to jump off sides, throws a bomb up the seam, and hits Allen Lazard for a touchdown. I didn't know that was allowed. That's not something that usually happens a lot for the New York Jets. They don't really get positive plays from these free plays. Like, that's just not something that happened. Aaron Rodgers is like the king of getting positive results off the free play. So if we see more of that over the next 16 games, that is going to make me very, very happy. The Jets would go for 2, and they would come up short on this one. Next 49ers possession, Deebo Samuel rips off a huge gain. Ashtyn Davis with a missed tackle. I thought the safety play wasn't very good in this one either. 49ers set up to go for it like they're on 4th and 1. They work their way down the field. They eat up a lot of clock. The time of possession is just absolutely insane. In this one, they would hit a field goal to go up 29-13. Michael Carter had an ankle injury, questionable to return. I don't believe he did return actually in this game. More on that, I'm sure, in the next coming days. Jets possession, they're going up tempo now. They're starting to look like they're driving a little bit, and it looks like they pick up a 1st down. And after review, they like the booth called down and like, hey, that's actually not a 1st down. Garrett Wilson didn't get his 2nd foot in, and that was after on 1st down. Breece Hall looked like he picked up a 1st down, but he picked up a yard short, and the Jets didn't challenge. Then, to make matters worse, on 3rd and 1, the Jets run it, don't pick it up, and then on 4th down, incomplete turnover on downs. At this point in the game, which we are now in the 4th quarter, Braylon Allen has not touched the football yet. The Jets did not put Braylon Allen in this game until, spoiler, they put the backups in for the final drive after Mason ran down the field right again, and then Moody hits another field goal and make it 32-13. But before that, the Jets did not use anyone but Breece Hall running the football. No Braylon Allen until the second half. The second the backups come in, the second string. So here you go. We get a garbage time drive from the Jets. Aaron Rodgers comes out. They put Tyrod Taylor in. They keep the rest of the first team offense in though with Tyrod Taylor. That was also strange. Braylon Allen finally gets a carry. He looked pretty good on the carry. And you would get a garbage time Allen Lazard touchdown. So 2-touchdown day, kind of funny. 32-19. The Jets would go for 2. They did not pick it up. So your final score after the kneel outs from the 49ers was 32-19 San Francisco. So how did Aaron Rodgers do? He only attempted 21 passes, completed 13 of them, 167 yards passing. That's 8 yards per attempt. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 82.8 rating. I thought he was pretty good today. I'm not saying it was like, oh my God, that was the best Aaron Rodgers day ever. but he made some throws that were really impressive and made you go, wow. And I think if he plays like that and throws more than 21 times, he's going to have a pretty good season for the Jets. So I would say Rodgers was a positive from this one. Lazard led the way in receiving 6 catches, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's sneaky hilarious, as I mentioned. Brock Purdy, 19 of 29, 231 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, at 89.9 rating. He was fine. He wasn't amazing. He wasn't horrible. Really, the thing that stood out was there was 0 pass rush. None at all. Pass rush could not get home to Brock Purdy. They had 2 sacks. One was a coverage sack at the end of the game. The other was early on. They got some pressure, but it was a glaring issue. And the biggest glaring issue of them all was that Jordan Mason had 28 carries for 147 yards. The Jets allowed 180 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns against. And I figured going into this year, the run defense would not be that great. I didn't think it would be that bad. But just, again, it was really, really rough showing from this Jets defensive line, which Hassan Reddick is probably sitting somewhere with a smile right now. I would not be surprised at all if the Jets figure something out with Hassan Reddick this week, because they could benefit from having their best pass rusher on the field. Time of possession, just 38 minutes, 40 seconds to 21 minutes and 20 seconds for the Jets. That's nearly the game's 60 minutes. So you almost had the 49ers nearly had the possession for 2/3 of the game, which is just, again, an insane clip. 401 yards of total offense for San Francisco. It was a bad game. It was like, I'm frustrated. I'm not like up here yelling and screaming and throwing a temper tantrum because it's week 1 of a 17-game season. It's against the Jets' toughest opponent on paper of the season. I'm trying my hardest not to overreact after week 1, and I'm not I don't think I'm overreacting. I'm disappointed, and there's some things that concern me, especially on the defensive side of the ball, with the lack of pass rush and the run defense. The play calling I thought was questionable. Some coaching things, like there were some things that weren't great in this game. But I'm not going to completely hit the panic button just yet. The Jets have a game coming up against the Tennessee Titans, where they're going to look to bounce back. And I hope they do bounce back. And we'll have more coverage for that throughout the week. But overall, final thoughts in San Francisco? Well, it wasn't pretty. There's a reason why the 49ers were in the Super Bowl and nearly won it. They're a damn good football team. So we'll see. Not quitting on this team. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Subscribe if you're new. Catch you next time.